Hi guys, so I'm getting ready to start my foundation routine. My girlfriend Lauren back in Seattle has asked to see how I use my beauty blender, so that I figured this would be the perfect time to start showing you guys how to do that. So I've already primed my face. From there I take a Bobbi Brown corrector in Bisque. It's got a bit of like a pink tint to it. I find it's really good for covering up the darkness around my eyes. I'm just taking like a flat concealer brush. This is like an old Estee Lauder one that they don't make anymore, but kind of any flat concealer brush would be fine. And I just kind of put it where my dark under eye circles are most prominent. I kind of do a lot under my eyes, which I think is probably a bit of an overkill. But the dark under eye circles are, you know, my pet peeve, right along with the wrinkles that I'm getting as I'm getting older. So then I take another corrector, and this one is in Light Peach. It's also by Bobbi Brown. So it's gonna work to kind of brighten up a little bit, and I just kind of put that kind of on like a little bit on the outside, so that when I do blend it, it's going to give me kind of like a natural highlight. This is gonna be a pretty easy on the foundation look today because I'm doing a lot more concealer. One of my favorite makeup artists ever never used foundation. It was Kevin Aquan. Well, I shouldn't say he never used foundation, but when he taught the class that I took, he talked about how you could do a full face with no foundation and just using concealer. So, hi guys, sorry for the little blip, the camera died. So yeah, I have my correctors on. Next I'm going to take MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. This is shade NW20. It's a little cooler than I like, but for the winter, I am really pale, so it doesn't matter too much. I just take it on my fingertips and kind of press it in over top of the correctors and just kind of blend it out a little bit with my fingers. MAC Pro Longwear is kind of my go-to favorite concealer. It's the only one I find that works. So pick your poison. That one's definitely mine. I'm going to take my clean beauty blender. It's all nice and fluffy and warm from being clean and washed. And basically just, you know, all it takes is a couple seconds of pat, and lo and behold, everything's blended. This thing is like magical. As I was talking about in my top 5 video, I was really skeptical on the beauty blenders for a long time. I was like, a sponge, that's gross. Sponges are sick. But it really does exactly what it says it'll do, and it does it really fast. And if you are like me and you don't often have a lot of time, the beauty blender is fantastic. So from there, I do go ahead and set my, where did I put it? Right here. I set my under eye concealer. I use the Anastasia contour palette. Previous to that, I used a bunch of different powders, but I just find that the yellow shade really helps in my under eyes to keep them nice and bright. The cool thing about powders is that they're buildable, so whereas they look really translucent in the beginning, they do kind of help everything to set and last kind of throughout the day and not crease halfway through, that kind of thing. So yeah, I really love this yellow. I forget what the actual shade is. It's maybe banana. Probably says on the box here, doesn't it? Yeah, banana. So I guess it's like those, you know, those banana powders that were kind of all the rage. So from there, I take my Bobbi Brown, what is this called? A foundation stick, skin foundation stick. This is number 5 Honey, and this is what I use to contour mostly. I use this in a combination of this and the Soleil de Tan by Chanel. So I'll just kind of show you like my routine. So I just kind of draw a little bit in the cheekbones. I know it looks kind of weird at first, but I just find that this gives a really nice kind of a natural finish. So then I just buff it with this is a MAC, what is this? A 133, I think, or 163. I can't read the numbers anymore, but it's a dual fiber brush, basically like kind of like a a pinpoint kabuki brush. It's really good for foundations, that kind of stuff. Personally, I love it for this kind of thing because you get a really good, what am I even trying to say? You get a really good, why am I losing words today? Precise application. And with contour, you have to be really careful because it can get really out of hand really fast. There have definitely been days where I'm just like, oh my goodness, who is that person? Because they are looking ridiculous. So then I just make sure everything's blended. And then I take my Soleil de Tan. I've had this for going on 2 years now. As you can see, there's hardly any gone. So this was an awesome investment. So I just take this again. With this one, what I kind of do is I brush it on, and then I take the my Beauty Blender again and really blend it all kind of together. With contour, I like to blend up because you do want like a crisp line right here. We will go underneath of that after with a highlight shade to really accentuate that line. And then with the chin, obviously you blend down. My face is considerably lighter than my neck, so I do like to make sure that that's kind of blended in together. And then we take the good old Anastasia again. And what I usually start with, and I take one of these limited edition, one of these holiday set MAC brushes, the 159 brush is pretty good. And I take the middle shade here, and I just kind of work it right here and make like a little line. And then blend it in. I don't like to take my powder when I'm setting my contour too low into here, because then it starts to make you look really angular and you look really weird from front on. So I like to, oops, clean brushes shed. Sorry about that, guys. I blend it up, and then I take the slightly darker shade, this one here on the end, and just kind of really pull out those cheekbones. It's all about blending, so you know, without taking any more product, you just really like blend into the hairline, blend into the chin. My hair is going insane. Bonnie Riddock, please come to New York City and fix my hair. Okay, so everything's fairly blended from there. And then what I do is I take the Anastasia again, and I take this whitish shade here on the end. I believe it is fawn. No, it's sand. And I take the like pointy end of my Beauty Blender, and I just kind of work it down this way to really like cut that contour without giving you like obvious lines. And then I take it down the center of my nose, into here. Perfecto. Then I take my Hot Sand NARS Liquid Illuminator. This was a limited edition. I do believe it's Copacabana is very similar. So the Hot Sand was kind of like a peachy one. I really like peach on my skin tone, especially when I'm tan. Even though I'm not tan right now, I'm faking it a little bit. So I just put it on my fingertips and just kind of like piano finger it on my cheekbones. A little bit on my nose, a little bit on my Cupid bow. Take the good old Beauty Blender again. Allow it to blend in. And then I take a MAC 287 limited edition, again a holiday set. I always get sucked into those holiday sets. And I take the middle shade of the Anastasia again and just kind of work on the nose area a little bit. The nose thing is kind of a newer contour for me. I don't really have any any real issues with my nose, I guess, so I never really thought too much about contouring it, but it really does make a big difference when you're doing a full makeup look. Take the Beauty Blender again and just blend it so that everything is blended in. A lot of girls I've been noticing, you can definitely see a line, and that's just not my thing. So I try not to do that. And then I just take my brush. It doesn't have any extra product on it. I just kind of make sure that that line is really sculpted. I have pretty prominent cheekbones to begin with, blessed with genetics. So for me, it's not as much about carving them out, but just making them stand out. Then from there, I take the Estee Lauder limited edition Heat Wave. This thing has like a cult following. Estee Lauder came out with another one. It's called Crystal Baby. It's pinker. It's beautiful. I have heard through the grapevine that they are going to come out with a couple more contour powders. This is one of the brightest, most beautiful contours I've ever put on my skin. There are a lot of contours out there. NARS Albatross is beautiful. There's the Becca Opal is beautiful. This one is just, you know, mulatto girl, so I love this one. I do need to get a better brush for this, but I'm just using the same brush that I used for the banana powder under the eyes, the brightening. So as you can see, it's very like vivid, the contour. So you're gonna definitely have like that radiant, dewy look. And even though we haven't tackled the brows yet, I do like to put a little on the brow. And then from there, I take my fluffy brush. This is an Estee Lauder powder foundation brush, one of my favorite brushes ever. And then I take the NARS translucent setting powder, which is like the greatest. And then just set everything really kind of gently. Because I used a lot of creams, you don't want to kind of set everything too much, because it will kind of, until everything has set on the skin, you don't want anything sliding around. But I just find this setting powder really does a fantastic job. It's all I use, you know, for bridal parties or that kind of thing. So it's super, super awesome. So yeah, so that's my highlight contour, how I use my Beauty Blender. So stay tuned, we're gonna do brows. And then from there I'll do a real simple everyday eye.